when the eyeballs stay watching something, the likelihood of them going on to, make a decision to either book your hotel or buy your product, that significantly goes up, right? I literally drag myself crawl across the ground, set up the drone, crawl back to the section, take off.
Network and connect. Go the extra mile with Alan and Eric. Hello and welcome back to Ace Podcast, The Extra Mile. Today, let's meet Vinnie Wimalasiri, founder of Lucid Creative. Bali-based, globally fearless, from the streets of Colombo to the skies above luxury resorts and Red Bull stunts. Vinnie has built a creative empire powered by drones, storytelling, and sheer guts. He's not just a pilot, he's a strategist, a dreamer, and a visual disruptor. Today, we unpack his journey, his craft, and the moments that turned flight into fortune. If content is king, Vinnie is flying the crown in from above. Good morning, Vinnie.
How you doing, mate?
So, Vinnie, you were born in Sri Lanka. What were some of the early influences that shaped your creative eye and adventurous spirit?
To be honest, in my early childhood, I had absolutely no creativity whatsoever. If anything, I failed arts and crafts like terribly. Like you asked me to, even till now, right? You asked me to cut something with a scissor, it's gonna go like this. It's not gonna go like this. So in my early childhood, I was more like technically sound rather than creatively sound. I was messing around a lot with computers, just learning inside out, learning command prompt, learning how to completely reformat a computer with Windows 95 on a floppy disk. That's the kind of stuff that I used to enjoy for some unknown reason. So I was way more technically sound than creatively.
So practical rather than arty.
Yeah, pretty much. The creativity didn't come until I reached like my late teens. So I started making music when I was 19 years old. That was my first foray into doing something creatively. Um, yeah, that was basically it.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's great. Thanks.
yeah. I figured out the creativeness in my very late teens.
Okay, so you started off in Sri Lanka and eventually you decided to leave. What sort of prompted you to leave Sri Lanka, and how did that move change the direction of your life?
We never really, me and my family, right? We never really planned for it, but a civil war kind of made us go, we have to get out of
Yeah.
here. Because the civil war was raging through the country. It's been running for probably 20 years at that point. But it reached a critical point at which there was complete economic collapse. As a result, my family decided it's time to leave. And we always had, my parents, especially my dad, always wanted to stay in Sri Lanka, but my mom always wanted to be like, we should probably seek a better life somewhere else because the country's not going too well. So eventually, they decided to go ahead with the application to migrate to Australia. And that's how I ended up in Australia when I was, 16 years old.
So you moved to Australia for a better life. Now you spent a lot of time in Australia. Why didn't it become the long-term base for your drone business? What was missing?
Australia is not as visually captivating as you think it would be. And on top of that, the niche that I'm trying to enter in Australia, the market is very small. Hotels and resorts in Australia, the scene isn't really that big. Australia is more known for its natural formations more so than the hotels and resorts industry, as a whole.
Yeah.
So you would find that the hotels and resorts over there, they don't look that impressive, to be honest. Um, so it was a case of I'm creatively a bit limited over there. A career potential is also quite limited, considering that I was in Perth. And Perth is mainly known for, in terms of the creative industry, it's known for mining, building, construction. That's what it's mainly known for, rather than creative projects
Yeah.
as such. Like we're talking fashion campaigns or even hotel campaigns. It's not really the place for that to happen. So I had this decision to make. Do I move within Australia, move to Sydney or Melbourne to try this, where the cost of living is just steeply rising, but then I'm still stuck in Australia? Or do I try to branch out internationally? So Bali was the next closest destination. It's only a 4 hour flight from Perth. So I figured I'm going to come to Bali, have a look, and see if this is something that my skill set can be applied to. And I instantly fell in love with the place. So I made every move effort possible to move to Bali and do what I do over here instead.
So, landed in Bali, you built a Lucid Creative from the ground up. What made Bali the perfect launching pad for your new business?
Bali has a huge cluster of hotels and a huge cluster of just beautifulness within a very short distance of each other, right? So I figured I will market myself out to hotels and resorts over here, and use Bali as a place to build up my portfolio as such. Because in Australia, to do this, it just was not possible. And over there, major hotel chains are quite well guarded, which means boutique hotels are pretty much non existent for the most part. Whereas
Yeah.
Bali has a lot of boutique hotels. So I did a few projects for boutique hotels in Bali to showcase my creative potential. From there onwards, that gave me a launch base to branch out outside of Bali too. So I ended up doing a project for a boutique luxury hotel that's actually won an award from Forbes out in Canada, thanks to the portfolio that I created in Bali. So Bali's been this place that's given me so much opportunity and so much potential, purely because the let's say the regulations are a little bit more lax over here when it comes to the use of drones in professional productions, and on top of that, the place is just beautiful.
So, you work with global clients, giants like Red Bull. Can you share one project that was a total game changer for you?
Yeah. So project that was a total game changer would be a shoot that I did for Red Bull. And that shoot pushed me to my absolute limit in terms of like my mental resilience and also my physical resilience too. Actually, no, it broke my physical resilience because we had to carry heavy equipment and climb up and down terrains out in Western Australia for a Red Bull documentary. And due to just the physical exhaustion, I actually my leg buckled. Like I actually had a crazy leg cramp come through,
Yeah.
and I had to literally set up the drone for a shot. But I was about maybe 5 meters away from the actual setup area. I literally dragged myself crawl across the ground, set up the drone, crawl back to the section, take off, and I had to get the shots for all of them.
So, if we made a movie about it, who would star as you?
Ooh, I would put Dave Patel.
Drone content is everywhere now.
Hmm.
In your view, what elevates a piece of content from cool to iconic?
It'll come down to how much are you trying to maximize the creative potential of that one, whatever visual that you're trying to put out there. Because especially with the way that I approach whatever I do with drones, I just go absolute balls to the wall,
Yeah.
just go full on, go all out, try to create something that is so visually striking. Typically the videos that I make are for hotels, right? So instead of, your general shot, which is like the drones will be 50 meters away from the hotel, looking at the hotel, and it's just slowly doing this, I'm diving into that thing.
You
I'm
go
going
through
to,
the
yeah,
window, don't you?
literally
Yes.
through the window, right
Yes.
past somebody throwing something in a pool.
Yeah.
Somebody jumps into the pool as I go past it. And the reason being, especially now, we are all fighting for eyeballs to stay on something. That's what everybody's fighting for. And brands are fighting for that too, because when the eyeballs stay watching something, the likelihood of them going on to, make a decision to either book your hotel or buy your product, that significantly goes up,
Yeah.
right? So what I do, fortunately, I again completely accidentally fell into this. Okay. This wasn't like, you know, the master plan from the beginning as such. Um, what I do tends to be working quite well because we've gotten some crazy increases in, the engagement value of our content compared to a traditional content.
So you told us how you had the dodgy leg in Australia. Is there another shoot that tested your limits technically, creatively, or just for sheer nerve?
Yeah, the very next morning. So after I did that shoot, and that was about, I think, like a 13-hour day. I finished. I packed the car up, drove 6 hours back to my home, and got home pretty late. And then I had to jump in a six-seater Cessna the next morning at like 4 a.m. Flew me into the desert where I had to get drone shots for it was a government project, so I can't give much information. But yeah, I was in the desert, 44 degrees sweltering heat, just barely keeping my eyes open, and I had to get drone shots for them too.
You help brands to actually convert with content. What's your number one piece of advice for a business owner tired of, you know, vanity views?
Create something that forms a strong emotional bond with whatever you're trying to present to
Yeah.
people. Because oftentimes the things can come off as just very soulless. And now I do see more and more that content is shifting towards quantity rather than quality. But what people don't understand is that what they think by quality, they oftentimes are just thinking, oh, cool, I can just make the most basic ass thing that is just like, it's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like McDonald's, and
Yeah.
I can just shove it out, and that's going to work. And that's going to cost a lot less money. So that's very attractive to a business owner who don't know what they don't know. So you need to think about, even if you're trying to spend less money, you got to think about how can I form a strong emotional connection while spending less money. And that seems to be the thing that's lacking with a lot of businesses, especially from what I see, even in hotels and resorts. They're putting out things that are just like, it's like just, I don't know, the corner of one of their rooms. And it's like, who cares about that? It's like, yeah, that's basically where you want to go with it. You got to create a strong emotional connection.
Yeah. Create that story. Make
Yeah, create that.
engage people.
Yeah, create that story, engage with your audience. Yeah, that's all I can tell any business owner, regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah. So looking ahead, what's the next frontier for Lucid Creative? Any bold dreams or tech innovations that you're chasing?
In terms of tech innovations, yes, because the drones that we use now that we actually build, they are good up to a certain speed, but I want to go faster because I get bored very easily, right? So we are now seeing more and more innovations with high speed drone technology for drones that are hitting 250, 300. I saw one guy build something that hit 450 kmh. It doesn't stay at 450 for long, but it can reach 450. So eventually, I want to move on towards having the drones that can reach those kind of speeds, and this is where the creative opportunities open up even more. Obviously, not for hotels. You can't fly through a hotel at 500 kilometers an hour. That's a ridiculous thing to do. But we're talking more like this will replace getting shots, let's say, for people who own helicopters, people who own airplanes. If they want cinematic content off their jet or their heli, you can now do it for a fraction of the cost. Because typically, let's say you want to get a video shot of your plane, you have to hire another plane,
Yeah.
right? And hiring a plane is going to cost a lot of money. So if a drone can replace a plane, which just like a drone has replaced helicopters in a vast majority of shots already, that's going to drive the price of content production down even more for such
Yeah.
things and open up the opportunities for, let's say, smaller operators like smaller airlines,
Yeah.
or even smaller tour companies to have some wicked shots done for them, but at a much lower cost.
So I know that you're quite active in the local business community.
Mm.
Do you find that you get a lot of great sort of leads and contacts from that?
Absolutely. Honestly, I have to owe the local business community and, to be honest, Touchstone, which shout out to Touchstone, is the whole reason why we actually achieved our first five-star hotel project in Bali.
Fantastic.
So I happened to meet the marketing person of Swarga Suites, which we did the fly through for, um, at a Touchstone event, and it didn't materialize for a very long time. It took like 9 months for them to finally come back to us. And but again, that wouldn't have happened if it weren't for me being part of a networking group for business owners.
So thank you, Vinny. So from Sri Lanka to Bali and the skies between, Vinny proves that bold vision and brave pivots can lift any business above the rest. If you're dreaming of content that sticks, that sells, and soars, you know who to call. Thanks for flying with us today. And don't forget to like, to share, and to comment. We're always happy to take your suggestions on board. Thanks for coming again. Until next time, bye bye.